Welcome to the next episode of the End Paradigm Shifting. I am Brandon, aka DJ Silk, and today we are going to talk about acceptance. Now, acceptance is the second of my principles that I laid out in the It's All in Your Head episode. The first principle was faith. If you need a refresher on what I talked about, then please go back and either watch or listen to those episodes. So let's talk about the idea of acceptance. Learn how to accept the situations that are out of your control, and you'll find it much easier to be at peace. People who have escaped life or death situations where there was no time to process what was happening to them before they thought they were going to die have talked about the feeling of peace washing over them once they realized that there was nothing they could do to change their fates. Now, thankfully, I haven't faced any true life or death situations. However, I have experienced the feeling of peace once I accepted the outcome of a situation that was out of my control. In the past, I spent entirely too much time living in my head, living in the past, trying to fix the unfixable. I spent the energy that should have been used on moving forward and applying the lessons that I was supposed to learn on trying to change the unchangeable. I wouldn't accept outcomes that I didn't want. The result of not accepting reality is that you live in fantasy. If you want to prolong the trauma of disappointment or loss, then spend time trying to fix a relationship that is over and should be over. Turn yourself inside out because you made a mistake that can't be fixed. Keep thinking about the job that you unfairly lost, or continue to think about an exam or a class that you failed. Part of the bargain of living life is that you will make mistakes, you will fail, and you will lose things, relationships, and people. If you want to be content and have as many moments of happiness as possible, you have to learn when it's time to accept that nothing more can be done and walk away, which can look and feel like you're quitting, but don't confuse the act of accepting with quitting. Accepting the true circumstances of a situation is the only way to resolve problems. Quitting is walking away when there's still time on the clock, or there's a real chance to turn things around, or when there's real potential for success. Accepting and moving on makes perfect sense to do when there's no more time on the clock, there's little or no chance that things will turn around, or where there is no real potential for it to work out. If you're playing a sport or working towards a personal goal, then by all means, don't quit. When it comes to situations where someone else has a say in the outcome because they are just as affected by the outcome as you are, then it is important to your well-being to know when to accept their decision and move on. It is hard to be rejected, but by accepting their decision, you are respecting their right to pursue the life they want. And more importantly, you're being pushed towards what's right for you. There is no situation more toxic and destructive than being where you're not wanted or appreciated. Developing the habit of accepting how things are means that you can focus your energy on making the best out of what you have or finding a solution to a problem. You can only focus on one thing at a time. So what is more productive? Focusing on how things fell apart or focusing on picking up the pieces and building something better? Is it better to dwell on how you lost your job, or is it better to focus on finding a new job or maybe even changing into a new career? Is it healthier to stew over lost love, or is the healthier thing to do is focus on yourself and on moving forward? We all have the ability to create happy and productive lives, but happy and productive lives begin and end with your ability to accept what you can't control. If an outcome can't be undone, then do yourself a favor and accept how things are and move forward. If you want happiness and peace, then learn how to accept the outcomes that are out of your control or can't be undone. Learn the lessons from the experience and move on in life, and know that you're better off for the experience. Use your faith in your God and in yourself to provide you with the strength to move forward. Acceptance of how things are provides you with peace, and peace allows you the opportunity to focus on and to have clarity to hopefully make the better decisions moving forward. So if you're currently having a tough time with depression and anxiety, it is important that you seek help, and definitely don't be embarrassed about it. There's no shame in seeking a therapist, and there's no shame in taking medication if there's a need for it. If you want to be at your best, then you have to take care of yourself the best way you can. If you aren't sure on what is the best way to take care of your mental or emotional state, You can start with going to www.mentalhealth.gov for mental health care resources. Your depression and anxiety problems didn't happen overnight and probably wasn't caused by just one thing happening to you. Therefore, the depression and anxiety problems won't be solved with just one magic bullet. What I'm saying is, don't expect one change in your thinking or behavior to be what completely heals you. Be open and willing to take as many steps and make as many changes as necessary to get to a healthy place. Believe me when I tell you, it is worth the effort. So that's all I have for you, right? Hopefully it was helpful. Um, if it's not, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, if you're listening to this podcast, know that you can also watch it on YouTube. And if you're watching it on YouTube, you can also listen to it. It is found on all the major podcast providers. Just search out The End Podcast and it should come up. So I'm going to leave you. You guys have a wonderful and productive day. Stay out of trouble and make sure you share, comment, like, and subscribe, okay? Until the next time, I am Brandon, a.k.a. DJ Silk. This is the End Podcast Paradigm Shifting. Be safe and be well.